for the one time. It's the family bloodline.
And he makes it just in time. What's
All right,
going
yo, Rick, I can't say you want to see Pete time. It was just in the nick of time.
just in the nick of time?
What they say
Ju-
about the skin of your teeth.
Right, right. Gentlemen, how is it going this new year of 2025?
Man, I got a story to tell y'all real quick, man, about something that
Ooh.
happened to me at the gym here at my apartment complex.
Okay.
Long story short, I was off work because RIP, my homie, Jimmy Carter, passed away. He lived a long life.
100,
JC,
100. He got 100 of them in, didn't he?
hey, man, he took the whole century, bro. So I'm going to the gym. I walk in, it's me and another guy. We do the nod. You know the nod you do. I get on the bike for 10 minutes, stomach got the bubblies. I go to the
I know,
bathroom,
of
right?
course.
Go to the bathroom, in the one door, and you know how the toilet always has another door. Go in there, I sit down, and I'm chilling. I'm on TikTok. I'm gonna join TikTok before they ban it, right? I hear the door open, boop, boop, close, right? So I give like a notary flush, like, hey, I'm in here, flush.
Right.
It's quiet, nobody here.
Right.
Bruh, tell me why this dude opens the door to where I'm
Man,
sitting there. I'm
man,
like the fences, bro. Shorts and underwear down by my ankles.
not
And
today.
he
sir.
stares at me like this. 1,002, 1,003. After 3 seconds, I'm like, close the fucking door. Right? Oh, my bad. And he closes now. In my mind, I'm trying to figure out, did he think this was sexy? Does he have some type of weird, shitty fetish? I don't know, bro. I was scared. So I got up, finished my business, washed my hands, walked my little behind back to the apartment, bro. That was
Oh, and it happened at the
trying to
apartment
avoid
complex?
Jimmy Carter, and that's what happened to me on Jimmy Carter Day.
It happened at the apartment complex too.
At the apartment complex gym. I'm not going back there. In fact, the very next day, I got a membership at the Goals right up the street.
You sure you safe?
I mean, I walk around clenched.
All right, I'm just saying.
I walk around, make sure it's tight. Ain't nobody getting me, bro. I'm good.
I'm just saying, homie might followed you back to the crib to just see where
Hey,
you
man,
is, where you live.
we gotta throw down, bro. Throw these paws. That's hey, you're not getting the goods, man. This that ain't happening. Like I'm like, that's the weirdest. I've accidentally walked into somebody. If I see a shoelace, bro, I'm closing the door. Instantly.
Quick. Yeah, absolutely.
That's my weekend, man. Tormented.
Yeah. What about you, Rich? How have you been?
Oh, I've been fine. Yeah.
That's
What about you?
that's it, huh?
Yeah, nothing.
No, you ain't got no booty bandit stories, or
Not like that.
Booty warrior. We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Hey, one way or another, it's gonna get got. Yeah, I'm good, man. As well, I just tired this evening and waiting to graduate this next class. So,
man, dropping knowledge on those jokers, man. I like it.
yeah, we got a good class in. We've had some good issues. I struggled. We struggled a little bit because of the weather that came through here, but perseverance shows a person's character, and these students have persevered, and I'm proud of them for that. And their scores have continued to increase. They take the last test tomorrow, and then Friday they out, and I get to rest for a day or two. Then I'm flying out to Cali. So,
okay,
yeah. Okay. And so, I forgot I said I was going to do this. Yeah.
Wait, it's off rhythm. Okay.
All right. Yeah, that's transition music. Transition. So let's get
Okay.
into it. So tonight the main topic is going to be Pete Hegseth and the Senate confirmation hearing, but I don't want to pass up or pass over um uh President Biden's farewell speech. I don't know if y'all caught any of that.
I did not catch it.
No. What'd you think about it, Rich?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I was watching Chris Cuomo's show, and I watched it on that show. It was on all the networks. It was on, cable. And Bill O'Reilly and Stephen A. Smith talked about it. Neither one was impressed. And, it's a shame that he's leaving the way he is. If he knew he wasn't able to run the country or run for re-election, he should have never been acting like I want to run again.
Thank
And
you.
if he got forced out, unfortunately, by the Democratic Party, then say that. And it's a good day because some of the hostages from Israel are being returned. Some of them, I think, the ladies, women, the elderly, those who are sick, they're being returned. He should have highlighted that. All the rest of what he said, people I don't think really want to hear from, because he's acted like when he said, I think on June 21st, I'm not running again. I decided to nominate or suggest that Kamala Harris, my VP, run. He hasn't said much since then.
Mm-hmm.
So people were like, we really don't want to hear from you because we don't think you're able to run the country. But yet, when he goes quiet, people were mad about that. So I think tonight, if he was going to really do something, he should have probably went to Israel and celebrated with them, because today is a big day. But I disagree. Maybe we're not being told the whole story about Israel. But if somebody comes inside your country and grabs some of your people because they're mad because you haven't treated them correctly, and now you're negotiating with a terrorist organization called Hamas, I hate to bring up this person's name, but President Reagan years ago said we don't negotiate with terrorists. So everyone has an opinion about, is Hamas really a terrorist organization?
So putting things in perspective, America would be considered a terrorist organization to Afghanis, right?
Yes.
So it's all a matter of perspective as well as propaganda and how the people in the country actually feel about the countries that are there, either on their behalf or against their best interests, and that's what shapes it. So we can always feel like we're the good guys, but history usually tells us the truth, because I don't know if we can say that definitively about Vietnam at this point in life.
Well, they say winners in wars get a chance to tell the history.
Oh yeah. History is about a winner for sure.
But what I do know is this: if I'm Israel and I feel I'm totally justified, I'm not negotiating with you. I'm coming to get my people, and I'm taking you completely out. Period.
Yeah, and I'm not asking anybody to do it.
I'm saying if I was Israel and you came and grabbed some of my people, we're coming to get you. Now, maybe someone was able to slow Israel down. Maybe they said, well, we don't want to all die right now. Okay. So now you want to piecemeal this. All right. So this temporary peace that you have right now in stage one, I think it's like 2 or 3 different stages. So stage one, let's kind of slow down the fighting. Stage 2 and 3 are yet to come. So if I'm President Biden, I think I would have really addressed that. But it should have never gotten to that point, because you're letting this new president-elect, former President Donald Trump, come in, and he's telling people, you better clear this up before I get back in there, because if you don't, a lot of folks are going to be unhappy.
I mean, if I was Biden, I'd have been like, so I ain't like I'm finna run again. But that's just me.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
But I caught the back end of it. That's I definitely understand why you made those points. I caught the back end of it, and I felt sad.
Mm.
I felt horribly melancholy, and I felt sad for America. I felt sad for America because I do appreciate the Biden-Harris administration, and I appreciate the things that they've strived to do for America at large. The unfortunate truth is, what's going on, MC? The unfortunate truth is, we're moving and living in a space of America that wants to see us back in 1864, 1861, 1860, 1859. You know, and that's the hard part about it. I think that there were things that could have been done a ton better, but I think a lot of the progress that was made during the Biden administration was very impactful. I wish they would have actually, hey, what's going on, Juan? I wish they would have actually packed the Supreme Court with more judges. I think that would have been a great feat. I think that would have been politics at its finest.
He didn't have that chance.
Oh, he absolutely had that chance. He absolutely had that chance.
So who when? Because none of the Democratic justices wanted to retire.
Oh, no, not to waiting for a justice to retire, but to add seats to the actual Supreme Court.
Where would the votes come from? I don't think they had it in the House or the Senate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and look at it, but at one point
so.
he was able to actually do it. He could have done well. He was able to move at it. He could have moved at it.
Okay.
But I think they missed an opportunity, a golden opportunity. I think go ahead.
That response about some people in America want to go back to 1861. I think there's some truth to that. My question is, how much did the woke movement make certain people who came from Europe, your ancestors who came from Europe, did the woke movement push them over the edge to where they wanted to just run back and grab anything of the past to make them feel comfortable because they feel like maybe I'm getting replaced?
Absolutely not. I think that I think they were just yeah, I know I got Mandy calling that. I think they were looking for a reason or an excuse to act up. And they found one. And they hung on to it. And they clung on. What you got, Deuce?
I got to go with Rich on this, man. I think for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? It's physics. I think the woke movement pushed a lot of these conservatives too far to the brink to where they had to come back fighting. I mean, let's be real. If Obama was never elected president, do you think Trump would ever been elected? I don't think so.
No, I agree with you on that point.
I agree.
Not that I'm telling Obama too woke, right? I'm just saying that was one reaction to another. And then to Rich's point, man, I just heard about something the other day, the 1792 exchange, right? It's the exchange describes its mission as a nonprofit group to develop policy and resources to protect and equip nonprofits, small business, and philanthropy from woke capitalism. That's on this page, man. And when you hear all these congressmen and senators speak, a lot of them were saying that they're coming out trying to fight against wokeness, which we know to some degree is another term for melanin, and another degree is a term for certain ideologies, right?
Yeah.
I'm with Rich, man. I think with the movements like BLM, look at the stuff that they're attacking. They attacked BLM, affirmative action, abortions, which they try to put on Black women. Would you look at the numbers? We know who really gets a lot of them. That might be a duplicity with that one. a lot of the things that they're attacking, man, are things that the woke movement fought. DEI. That office doesn't even exist anymore in Congress.
Yeah.
McDonald's poured out. So I got to ride with Rich on this one, man. I think a big piece of that reaction, the red wave that finally came, is due to the woke movement. And I will also say I'll place some of that blame at the movement itself. I think it was a bunch of different disconnected movements that fell under that umbrella that had no agenda to get into Congress. Like the civil rights movement. We reached out and found federal politicians that's roll with us, man. The Tea Party movement, they copied us and did the same thing.
Yeah.
The gay rights movement, same thing. They knew to get to the White House. For whatever reason, since the civil rights movement, we have been unable to do that.
And so I'm glad you said that. So every action has a reaction.
Yeah.
And that takes physics, right? That's energy, E equals MC squared. But what I'm saying is there was never a point in American history where that energy wasn't there. So it's not a reaction. It's a continuation.
It's fan of the flames.
Yeah, it's energy it was energy that was already there. It's not something new.
You don't think that the woke movement added fuel to the fire?
I'm not saying that it didn't, but I'm saying it's not a direct reaction. I think it's just something that was already there. Again, this is America. Hatred is our brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, listen to this. I'll see if I can say this really quickly. The woke movement, we know that's about black folks. Black folks saying we want to have respect in the workplace. Give us a chance. Okay, we've been saying this from the time we got over here.
Yeah.
Now, that transgendered, where you have boys being born as boys, wanting to become girls and play in women's sports, that really hurt us. Because this is where a lot of black folks would agree. If you're born a boy, but you want to be recognized as a girl, that's fine. But you can't compete in women's sports. That's a no-no. So a lot of times when the conservatives are talking about the DEI, they're referring to that transgender movement. Second part, when conservatives are going up in arms about DEI, it's so funny that when that court case went to the United States Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said you can't use racial quotas for college admissions, and all the conservatives were really happy about that. Okay, that's fine. But yet, the Supreme Court would not rule that you couldn't use racial quotas for the military academies.
Yeah.
They don't say anything about that part. So you got half of what you wanted. But when it came to the military and people dying for the country, you want to make sure you got some minorities up there in leadership to die, to lead. You want that because you want a diversified, quote, military. So the United States Supreme Court kept that going.
Yeah.
But they don't talk about that. They leave that part out. So with Pete Hegseth, I tried to watch some of the stuff that he was talking about. He doesn't believe in he, she, and they and all that. I don't either. This is where Pete Hegseth, huh?
You hear the transition? All right, you hear the transition. We're gonna rock with it.
That was the transition.
Yeah,
I like
transition. Yeah, that's why the music came in.
Okay. Okay.
It's an adjustment.
All right. So, Pete Hegseth, could he be deemed as someone who wants to return to the racial past of America? Possibly. But when he speaks out against, quote, the he, she, and they, he's not wrong. I feel the same way. That's why this is a little trickier this time. Because now when people are pushing back against the woke movement, we don't know if it's truly because they're racist, a little prejudiced, or just a little scared, or maybe a combination of all of those different things. But sometimes they have a valid point. When he says that we want to have a strong military and we don't need DEI in our military, because in their eyes, DEI is hurting the morale of the military. In his eyes, and Donald Trump's eyes, and some other people, conservatives' eyes, that the DEI has hurt the military readiness. I don't think it has, but I haven't served in a long, long, long time. Maybe it has. I don't know.
So what do you think about that, Deuce? What are
About
your thoughts?
DEI in the military.
Yeah.
I think DEI is great, man. Now, a couple of points to Rich's point. When they talk about like woke movement, I look for that vein that pops up either here or here. If it flexes when they talk, I'm like, oh, we talking about black folks.
Yeah.
If it doesn't flex, okay, you might be talking about some ideologies, right? But to your point, to your question, I like most of the DEI. I like the cultural programs we have in place because it helps us to communicate better, understand each other. And the military is supposed to be a reflection of America, which is a multi-ethnic nation, right? So I like it. It's good to see Black folks in leadership positions in the military, Asians, Hispanics, whatever. I think that makes the military better. Now, I will say, with everything, it's moderation, right? I love coffee. I can't drink coffee 7 days a week, and that's the only thing I drink, right? I'll be over here like a crackhead. I was never 100% on board with some of the other policies that didn't involve race or ethnicity or gender, historical gender, right? I think some of that complicated things, like when they brought transsexuals in, there was a whole dilemma of, well, how do we treat them and support them overseas downrange, right? Iraq, Afghanistan, Gaza, Ukraine, talking about some new possible places, right? It's tough to get logistics in and out of this. So how do you keep that treatment up, right? So that just messed up like logisticals and things like that. So to round it out, I like the diversity programs and initiatives that we have because I think it's something that we need. I think the big difference between like us and Ivy Leagues, they always have that question of you could put somebody in the Ivy Leagues, but were they prepared for it? Debatable, right? I think some excel at it, some weren't. The military academies, they train you from start to finish, right? They don't care how advanced you come in. Everyone's learning at the same pace. You start as though you know nothing. Same thing with basic. So I think that's the element of why it works with the military. So that's my short answer that turned out to be a little bit longer than what I wanted.
Here's something else that we talked about months ago, and y'all laughed at me, and I said this is not a good thing. This is going to come back to haunt us. When Black folks across America was talking about reparations, I said,
yeah,
if you think, and I said I'm against reparations. I said,
pay me, bro.
Think,
I'll take your check.
I tell you what, if there was ever any checks given out for slave reparations to Black folks in America, you would have an uprising in white America. That's a
oh yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
And they would never hire Black folks ever again on jobs. You would have to force them because they wouldn't hire you anymore. It's over.
Yeah.
That's why I said I'm not for reparations. I understand what it's meaning to do.
Yeah.
The same thing when they passed gambling in all the states, saying, oh, we're going to raise money for education. We're going to help the minority children. No, you're not. Richard, this is a white party. You need a white.
I just have white hoodies.
Okay.
So let me say this, right?
Go ahead.
It doesn't matter what it's going to be. Do I agree with all points and parts DEI? No, I don't. But I also know a straw man argument when I see one. It's a boogeyman complex.
Okay.
It's always a finger at they're going to get us, they're going to get us, they're going to get us. And remember, we already hate somebody. So let me give you the actual thing to hate. The population of America, the trans community, is such a small population. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's negligible almost. Same thing with the transgender community in the military. It's such a small population that it's negligible. You don't really you don't. It's not a big thing. It's not. And this is why I'm saying that. I'm not saying that it's not a big thing as to for how as far as how we make sure we clothe them, we feed them, they go lodging, so on and so forth.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they're still to be treated like soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, or what Space Force. I don't know what the fuck they're called. Anyway, those guys,
Guardians.
Guardian.
Guardians. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
They're still to be treated like that. Are there some nuances that we'd have to figure out how to deal with and get through and get over? Absolutely. But if a person wants to serve the country, you allow them to serve the country. Remember, we are a 100%. Well, it's not 100%. We're a 98, 99% volunteer force, all volunteer force. So when you insert a movement of separation, hate, isolation, you're removing a segment or bodies from the military that we absolutely need at this point in history. We need them. We're not doing well with recruiting. We're not doing well with retention, and we've got a lot of different fronts that we're probably going to be faced with within the next 5-10 years. So we're losing bodies. What, like in combatives, the saying goes, "Who's the
Well,
first? Who wins the fight?
well,
Who
wait a
wins
minute.
combatives?"
Hold on. This gets a little tricky.
Mm-hmm.
This gets a little tricky because there's something that Pete Hegseth, they tried to corner him today, and yesterday, and he talked his way out of it, talking about women in combat roles. Now, he says, I'll be glad to serve with women and take, work with women in the military, even in combat roles. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I've always struggled with that because we want everyone in America to be treated fairly, especially as we as Black men. We want that. But in the military, in the combat role, the last time I checked, women carry children. Now, if this is an effort to put more women into combat roles and they lose their lives, I'm not for that because that effort will lead into creating children in laboratories. First part. Second part, when you say, hey, we don't have enough people, joining the military and all that. Well, be careful how we say that because, military is a job, it's a career, it's a job, it's a passion. Mm-hmm. With AI on the rise, I can see Elon Musk saying, let me build 1,000 robots and we'll take our chances with these drones and these robots. We won't need American men and women to join our military. We'll do what we want to do and bypass them.
Yeah, and so part of that's already in the works. But okay. what I'm saying is, when you disenfranchise a segment of people to join, you're hurting numbers. Like again, in combatives, it's not the person who, especially when you're doing combatives and you're fighting for a war zone, it's not the person who can roll the best. It's the person whose buddy shows up with the gun first that wins the actual fight.
Right.
That's what we're looking at here. We're looking at how many guns, how many rounds we can have downrange, effective fire, lethality, so on and so forth. Again, I know we're going to have to fight through. Well, they're going to have to fight through some issues or concerns about how to actually integrate that process. But on to your point, there is a point that I do agree with Pete Hegseth on, and that is if a person, regardless of gender, wants to join a specific MOS, they have to meet the standards, every jot and tittle, be it Rangers, be it Green Berets, right, be it 11 Bravos, be it 13 Charlies, so on and so forth. They have to meet those standards. There can be no left or right parameters. If it's the standard for the 18 to 25-year-old, then that's the standard. Everybody else, if you don't want to meet that standard, well, then you go into an MOS that you will have the ability to pass the ACFT, meet the standards.
I agree, and I think that's going to be stressed. But I also believe that the idea of women in combat roles, my gut tells me that Pete Hegseth and a lot of conservatives don't like that. I'm not a conservative, nor am I a liberal. I agree. But, I don't want women to say, oh, well, Richard, you're being sexist. We want to die for the country just like you. Yeah, but you're the one that carries children. I can't carry no children. So we really need your help. We really got to protect you. In fact, I thought that's why we were fighting to keep America free, to protect you, to have more kids. But maybe I was wrong.
What you got, Deuce?
Yeah.
No, I'm torn. I'm torn.
But I'm
like,
out of the military. I'm a
Huh?
veteran. I'm not actively serving, so my words can't be held against me. So,
You read between the lines.
oh yes, I see the look in your eyes, both of y'all.
So
And
I
you're right.
like.
You're right.
I think. I glass to one of your points when you were talking about, on the one hand, recruitment, and you talked about how small the transgender population is. I think whether catering to them or not, it's not going to fix like recruitment in the military, right?
I agree.
Pay's trash. Patriotism's down the drain. It's become politicized. So I think those are the two big arenas there. Women in the combat zone. I think about football. Football is a physical, tough, hard game, right? Physically, you wouldn't want to have a woman being like your linebacker, your O-line, things like that, right? A kicker, possibly, maybe some other roles that some women could excel in. I'm not sure, right? But it would be tough to have a team of men in the football field, a team of women on the football field. You playing NFL rules. It's going to be tough. So we talk about like combat, front lines. A lot of it, maybe that's a terrible analogy, because now war is more shooting, it's more drone work, things like that.
Well,
I'm gonna defer to what Glass said, man. As far as meeting the qualifications for that specific job field at MOS, if you can do that, you earn the right to have that job.
Yeah,
plain and simple. No waivers, no curb, no grading on the curb, anything like that. If you can meet those demands, you get the job. Plain and simple. That's what it comes down to. Because there's small dudes that are able to meet those demands and still are able to do the job.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, for the listening to the way I can understand what Hegseth was trying to say. I can understand what he was trying to say, and at some points I can meet him where he was when it comes to women in combat. I was with women in combat zones, right? So my clerk was a female in the combat zone. The unit that I was with, truck drivers. There were women that were driving the trucks in the combat zone. We were on the most dangerous route in Iraq, the Hershey bypass, and we did it a lot. I was in the transportation unit when I was in Iraq. So the overstatement of women being in the combat zones is a scary notion. It's very similar to saying TikTok, the Chinese are stealing our data through TikTok. I think it's a whistleblowing moment. I think it's a move to throw an edge on the emotional aspect of what women are in the military or what they actually do. Unfortunately, like all three of us are vets in our own right. Two of us still active, and Rich, you served. You served with women also, and so we know full well that women are capable of holding their own in certain places. I agree that like the down and dirty 11 bang bang work, unless that woman is pushing to those standards the same way those young fellas do and meeting the mark, like you were saying, like you were saying, Deuce, no waivers, no grading on the curve. Well, then let that young lady go play with them young men and let them get out in the field and tear shit up. Let them go at it.
Well, maybe I wasn't clear. It's not the fact that a woman can't shoot a gun, or if she could meet the standards, she should not be allowed to do that job. What I'm saying is this. Last time I checked, the only way America keeps going is to produce children. Men, we cannot produce children. We don't carry children. Women do. So if too many women were to go in the military and lose their life in the military, our country is gone.
Oh, I don't disagree with that statement. I
So
see what
it's
you're saying.
not. So when I see Wanda say, "Well, hey, you know, women do more than just have kids," you're absolutely right. And I always feel that women are equal to men. However, when it comes to carrying life, women are superior. They are
Yeah.
the only ones. So if you lose your women in your population, then you have to go over to somebody else's country and grab all their women and bring them back over here.
This is America.
I'm just saying. It's not about.
I feel what y'all are saying, but let's be real, man. The military makes up less than 1% of the population, and you're talking about gender.
Yeah.
Women make up like 1/4% of that, right?
18% of the forces. 18%.
I don't see enough women joining the service and joining combat roles to be a threat to our reproduction. Right?
Okay.
And then it's also double back. We're already not reproducing enough for other reasons, and military recruitment's dropping, right? But I see your point. If a recruitment rose, a draft came through, bam, I'm riding with you. But man, they ain't signing up in droves like that.
All right, sounds good.
And not so I can meet you there as well, Deuce, because you're right. Women aren't signing up for the military in droves in that fashion. And not just, they're also not pushing to go into combat arms. And that's the jargon that they should have been actually using during the hearing.
Yes.
Combat arms, not just combat. And that's why I said we know that women are capable of going into combat because we've seen them. We've been there with them. But the combat arms MOS is a totally different animal. Totally different. I don't even want to mess around. I didn't go into combat arms on purpose. I stayed away from that on purpose. You know, I didn't want to do it. So
well, you know, with Pete Hegseth, because he led, you know, for his military service, he was an infantryman. So, you know, people who were on those front lines, their mindset is going to be really, really aggressive.
Oh, are we?
Go ahead.
I want to talk about this man's qualifications since we're going there. Because you brought up some of his things, right? I think.
Hold on. Pause.
Let's do it, credit.
That's the transitional point.
One time for the one time.
All right. I want to talk about this man's qualifications, man, because if I remember right, he was in the National Guard. And I'm not trying to demean anyone in the National Guard or the Reserves, right?
He's a DEI hire. Ooh. But go ahead.
And then the guy, one of the senators asked him, about physical fitness, how many push-ups can he do? What's the maximum range of an M16? Things of this nature. And once he got done with that basic line, board member questioning, he said that you have the total knowledge of the warfighter, and I think that you have the qualifications to lead the Department of Defense. If that's the case, I could go out here and pick any E4 that's been to a board can answer those same questions, man. So my thing is, because who's up there now? Austin, right? General Austin.
Lord Austin, who's a beast.
He excelled, right? Lord Austin.
Yeah.
We're going from him, a GO who has to go through numerous levels of training, experience, situations, running joint enterprises. Take that job. Now we're taking a guy that was a news commentator on Fox. I think his highest rank was major.
Okay.
Just above company commander. He never even made to battalion commander.
Did you say he was still in the ranks? You said he was still in the rank. You said he was still in the ranks that they were given?
He was what?
Still in the ranks that they're given?
Yeah. So my thing is, if you never in the military dealt with the higher echelons, and outside the military, you never dealt with the higher echelons, who are you? What are your qualifications? And what do you guys think?
Well, you know what? Now, this is where I root for Pete Hegseth. See,
I thought about you when that was happening.
Hold Hold
I
on.
did. I
No,
did.
no, I'm not going to attack from that side. Wait a minute.
All
So
right.
Okay.
Pete Hegseth says, I'm not a perfect person, but redemption is real. I love when he says that. He's talking about me and you and you.
No,
So that one day when it's
My mama
Deuce's time,
said I'm perfect.
hold on. One day when it's Deuce's time to be nominated, because I'll nominate him because I'll be the president-elect, and I nominate Deuce.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And they said, well, what criteria? What's his qualifications? His qualifications is he's a disciple of Pete Hegseth. And even though Pete Hegseth has been married 2 times and had kids while he was married with one woman with another woman, God is real. And forgiveness is real in this country.
yeah, because
Okay? So the same latitude they give Pete Hegseth, all my Christian conservatives, I'm sure they'll look at you and I and Mr. Glass, and they'll feel the same way about us.
in a dystopian world, yeah, somewhere, because reality, we don't get to play in on the same spectrum of reality.
Oh,
that
yes,
they,
we do. Because God has no respect of persons. Because
But
the last
clearly-
time I checked, the Christian conservatives tell me in the New Testament, oh gosh.
but clearly,
I hear somebody talking to me, and it's like a cat, and she's talking to me. And I know that verse quite well. No respect of person. So I'm on the same page she is. And the Christian conservative says, you're on the same page, same verse. So if we allow latitude, so in other words, since President-elect Trump is going into the White House as a felon, I don't understand why jobs still have criminal questionnaires. I don't understand why they have that felony questionnaire. All that should be removed now. Because I can have a felony and run for America for the president and be elected, but I can't have a job at the bank because I have a felony on my record. That doesn't sound right.
I get what you're saying, man, but even taking legalese out of it, because they talked about his sexual assault things and things of that nature, man. The qualifications, what I want to get back to. My boy can't even name a single country in the South Asian nations, the world, man.
Yeah, ASEAN. And what was funny is he thought the senator was asking him or mispronouncing the word Asian. That's what he thought.
Yeah.
That's why he named Korea. That's why he named Japan.
Okay.
But he totally missed Malaysia. He totally missed the Philippines. He missed Thailand. He missed all of those, the Indian Ocean, well, what we used to call the Indian Ocean islands. He missed all of those, and he didn't understand the actual treaty that the act that she was talking about. It was over his head. Hell, if you want me to make a strong argument in the next 5 minutes, I'm more qualified than Pete Hegseth.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait. Hold on. This is where I'll have to give him some grace because.
Oh, here we go.
Never mind. I'll let it go.
Come on, Candy Man. What you got?
Because when she asked that question, I thought for a minute,
he's silly.
I didn't know the answer. So if you can always ask somebody who's knowledgeable, you can always find something that they may be off on, and you can catch them. It's a gotcha moment.
But Rich, do you know why she asked him that?
No, why'd she ask him that?
The reason why she asked him that is because, as tradition would have it, the nominee for SecDef meets with both Republicans and Democrats. And what they do essentially is they rehearse and go over the questions that they may be asking them during their confirmation hearing. He met with Republicans, but brushed the Democrats off totally. That's why she asked him that question. And then her response to that was, maybe next time when we send you an invite, essentially, you'll come sit with us instead of playing politics. And that's the danger about him going into that position. He's a loyalist. He's not a constitutionalist.
That's what Trump wants on his board. And Rich, to your point, if you're in something, you're the head of an organization, you want people aside you in your organization that are knowledgeable in their roles and jobs so they can support your weaknesses and enhance your strengths, right? Trump just wants people to think he's God. Pete is not qualified. Not only did that one, he couldn't name one single DOD policy, man. And when he was asked pointed questions about different things, he gave these broad, vague answers to cover his ignorance on it.
So well, wait a minute.
Yeah,
you're not wrong, but loyalty versus someone that's going to stab me in my back. See, there's a line that, the first time he was in the White House, he got stabbed in his back. They were stabbing him in his back, and he said, "This time, if you ain't giving me your loyalty, you're not rolling with me." And the funny thing about it, the American public backed up Donald Trump on that mindset.
I can't argue with that because they did, but I will push back on you're right. You want people who are loyal.
Yeah.
You want people who support you. You also want those people to be knowledgeable.
Well, wait a minute. This is where Bill O'Reilly was saying that, I think it was Bill O'Reilly, that Trump has an inner core of people.
Where do you see him at?
Who?
Bill O'Reilly.
No, when I watch Bill O'Reilly or Chris Cuomo, when I watch CNN, somebody was saying that he has an inner core of people that has the knowledge base, and they will direct all his heads because he's not taking a chance this time.
So is that what you want, Rich? Like you want a shadow government, pretty much, to direct people that you put.
Oh wow.
Departments. So Pete, who, according to this hearing and his interviews, does not possess the qualifications to be SecDef. That's cool. He's loyal. I got Bob over here who's going to whisper in his ear.
Well, wait a minute. When President Obama ran in 2008, he didn't have no qualifications. Hillary Clinton was more qualified than he was in 2008, but he still won the election.
He appointed qualified people to key cabinet positions.
Yeah, there's
even
a huge.
Who didn't agree with his policies.
Right.
Wait a minute. That's true, but look at it from Donald Trump's perspective. He said he got cheated in 20. He got cheated or not, he feels he got cheated. He ain't backing off that. Okay. He says all those court cases were a witch hunt, and all those federal cases have gone away now. And these other state cases, he'll get them appealed, or they'll go up to the United States Supreme Court, and he'll probably get out of that because you can't have precedent of a convicted felon being in the White House. So he wants people who are going to back him up, who are not going to turn on him. And he's hoping that he has other people knowledgeable enough to help him run it. And the reason why I look at it from his perspective, I'm not going to give you or Mr. Glass a chance later on this year to say, "Richard, what the hell are you doing?" Because I'm going to be faced with the same situation.
Sure, but here's the difference, right? Understanding the traditional role of the Secretary of Defense, understanding that role, and understanding that at the end of the day, he is the number one advisor to the president on all things military. He or she, right?
Okay.
So to send a person in there with absolutely no qualifications, not just a little qualifications, but no qualifications. I've supervised more soldiers than what he had. He was asked a question about acquisitions, and he was lost. He was lost. Now we're talking about, again, just a quick 2-minute qualifications that where I will beat him out at. I can take 2 of my evaluations and show where I have literally managed, supervised, and maintained more equipment, money, and personnel than what he has during his entire career. So if he's qualified to be SecDef, I'll take any Master Sergeant, I'll take any Sergeant First Class I'll take Sergeant's Major that has that actually has relevant backing to their career and put them in that situation, since that's all it requires at this point. I don't need a person who's been a general officer that's commanded hundreds of thousands of troops. I don't need that anymore. I don't need anybody who has had to go through 2 JAG officers in order to make sure that what they're doing, saying, and presenting is correct. He has literally no idea of what the SecDef seat is supposed to do, be, and feel like. He's just he's a jump off.
Wait a minute. Donald Trump was the first businessman to be elected president. So when you say traditional, throw all that out the window because he wasn't allowed to do what he wanted to do in his first term. Now he's claiming, I'm going to do what I want to do this time around. So the word traditional has nothing to do with Donald Trump. He's not going to do anything traditional, period. So this idea that he has to appoint people who are qualified, no, he doesn't. No, he does not. There's nowhere in the Constitution. There's nowhere in the Constitution that says that you have to be qualified. Well, wait a minute. There are certain rules to run for the president and Congress positions. But when it comes to quote, and those are subjective qualifications, like you have to be like age 34 or 35 or something like that. You know, be a U.S. citizen. But there's nothing subjective about these qualifications for these different roles. So, like I said, if I run for president, when I do, and when I'm elected, and I said, well, you know, I'm gonna have James be my, I don't know, Secretary of Defense. No, that ain't good enough. Either Secretary of State or Fed Chair. They're gonna say, well, he doesn't have the qualifications for that. Can I get him approved? That's qualified. In this country, you don't have to be qualified to get a position. No, you don't. It's who you know. In this,
I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I will say is he has not thrown out tradition. The tradition of hate is continuous within all of the nominees that he's pushed forward. He's maintained that tradition, regardless of their knowledge base or not. He's maintained the tradition of hate, propaganda, and the art of the spin.
Wait a minute. Both parties are guilty of this.
I'm not saying they are. I'm just talking
when
the
Pete,
party that's there in the spotlight.
Hold on. This is fantastic. I didn't even think.
Your volume left. Your volume. We can't hear you.
Yeah. No, you still your lips are moving, but there's no sound.
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you. We can't. Can you hear us? Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. Yeah. All right. You're back.
Oh,
I'm
back. Sorry. So we're talking about Pete
Hegseth.
Hegseth. If we go back to Biden's administration, Pete Buttigieg. We got two different Petes. Neither one is qualified. Pete Buttigieg wasn't qualified to be the Department of Transportation Secretary. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't qualified. But it didn't matter. He was married, outspoken. He's gay. It was an important position. I guess that was a DEI hire for the gay community. I don't know. So a lot of times in the U.S. government, people get jobs that they're not qualified for. That's just how the game goes. So if the Democrats had won, they'd be doing all kinds of stuff. But the Republicans won, so now they're gonna do all kinds of stuff. Both parties are guilty of the same thing.
And I'm not saying that both parties aren't guilty of the same thing. What I will say, however, is I agree that generally speaking, there are positions that you don't have to have any legit qualifications to be in because the people that you maintain are smarter than you, and it's going to be successful.
It's not.
The SecDef is not the same type of position to go into without having at least some type of global understanding of what the campaigns, the wars, and the acts are supposed to be.
No, it's about who do you know.
It is about that. I'm just saying that the SecDef position is different than the other politicized, especially since you're supposed to be you can't be part. You're supposed to be, regardless of if it's Democrat or Republic. You're not supposed to give a damn about either one of those, and that's why the SecDef seat is different.
Hold on a second. Nope, I disagree, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
The law should be the law, but when it comes to the United States Supreme Court, if you're a Democrat, you're electing Democratic judges. If you're a Republican, you're electing Republican type judges. So regardless of how the law is written, because of their mindset, that's how they're going to interpret the law. So if it happens at the Supreme Court level, it's going to happen at all the other positions as well. It's who I like, who's going to back me up, who's going to do things. Listen, maybe the best move that Barack Obama made was his Attorney General, Eric Holder.
Okay, but
Eric Holder had his back.
But what you just said, Name a president
Mhm.
who has picked a SecDef
Uh-huh.
similar to Pete Hegseth.
It doesn't matter.
It
This is
absolutely
Donald
matters.
Trump you're talking about.
No.
Name me a president. Name me a president that talked so much stuff that people went to the Capitol on January 6th, and some of those people acted unprofessionally and raised chaos. Name me a president who did that. You can't name one.
And
Name
that's
me a president.
that's part of my point. That's it's a problem. That's
No, it's
part
not.
of that's absolutely part of the problem.
Not
And
to
I
the American people, it's not.
no, that's because
Well,
that's
you know my views on American people.
Yeah.
You know, here's
Talk
an
about
analogy to sum this up, right? The team I love to hate the most, the Dallas Cowboys. It's not even fun to hate them anymore because they suck so bad. The
Right.
last time they won a Super Bowl was way back in the 90s under Jimmy Johnson,
Yeah.
who had his
No,
own.
Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer.
Is it Barry Switzer?
Yep.
No.
The third one was Barry Switzer.
After Jimmy?
Yep. After Jimmy, he came in for 2 years and he won the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So two men had their own vision of how to execute their game plan and got their team to buy into it.
Okay.
Nowadays, right? No one would say that the Cowboys have a lack of talent. They got a serviceable quarterback, all-star
Right.
receivers, and at some points they got some stars on defense, right?
Yeah.
The issue is execution.
Okay.
Jerry Jones always handpicks his coaches because he wants to be the coach. So he wants coaches that does what he says. The result is never making it out of the first round if you even make it to the playoffs. Because he picked people who are loyal to him,
Uh-huh.
not necessarily knowledgeable about coaching football, right? So that's the same thing with Trump. I could go into basketball. The reason why the Charlotte Hornets have been crap and the Washington Wizards were crap when Michael Jordan was over both teams is because he hired yes man. The downfall of MC Hammer because he brought in yes man. Every great person or company fails when they have, and people get lost in diversity. I was thinking racial, when they have a lack of diversity of thought.
Yeah.
That's the part.
Well,
So-
listen to this.
Trump is hiring puppets.
Oh, no, he's not.
Rules
No,
with
he's not.
himself.
Well, listen to this.
It's going to lead to a failure in government.
No, well, listen to this.
I'm
It's
listening.
funny how we were talking about DEI hires and how the Christian conservatives and the conservatives and the Republican Party hate DEI hires.
Yeah.
Guess what Jerry Jones is getting ready to do?
What?
You ain't hear? It's
Prom's
coming out
not
this
going.
week.
Prom's not going.
Okay.
Prom's not going.
How much money you got?
You want more money than what my mom is.
Huh?
You know what? I'll put 50 on it. Prom's not going.
50's on it.
50. Prom's not
Your
going.
cash app.
We do not endorse gambling or betting. If you have a gambling or betting, please call the gambling and betting hotline.
Hold on.
I like how we
I'm
did a
not
pity
paying
pat on the
$50.
camera.
I'm giving him $50 reparations. That's what I'm doing.
I mean, okay.
Reparations.
Prom has his own way of running things. He is not going to go work for Jerry Jones, man.
Listen.
But going back to Trump, name one person in the cabinet that's able to stand to Trump and say, Mr. President, I think you're going down the wrong path because of my expertise. You can't
That's
name
not
one.
the point. The point is
What
the
is
American people said, we trust Donald Trump. And that's why you have the U.S. Senate. So if Trump tries to put Matt Gaetz in, they were like, oh, we ain't passing him. And so Matt Gaetz withdrew his name. Remember, I said this a few weeks ago. I said, if Trump has as much power as he thinks he has, he'll stand behind Matt Gaetz, regardless of this underage girls scandal.
Sure.
He did not do that. Matt Gaetz withdrew his name. So there is a check and a balance on Donald Trump. It's called the legislature and the U.S. Supreme Court. So he can listen. If he came to me right now and said, Richard, I want you to be my and I'm not taking HUD. I don't know, an ambassador.
He's going to make you HUD. You're going to be urban.
Good.
Okay. I'll make you an ambassador to such and such. I'll make you an ambassador to
Just some African country.
or South Africa, whatever.
Hey,
So I take it. And then y'all say, well, Richard, you ain't got no experience. Well, hold on a second. I thought black folks are supposed to uplift other black folks. So Pete Hegseth was a black man that Trump wanted to have. Well, hold on.
No.
If it was
No. Now, who was the doctor that was over HUD during Trump's
Carson.
last one?
Dr.
Huh?
Carson.
Dr.
I thought that was the
Jim
dumbest pick. He made dumber selections. That was a bad pick. This dude was a surgeon. What do you know about HUD? Nothing. He was asleep at the wheel, man. So I was against him, even though he's black. It's not about just the color of your skin. I want to know your qualifications. That's all.
What I would say is this: I am not a perfect person, but redemption is real. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. How do you expect me to condemn Pete Hegseth over his qualifications when I'm supporting Mr. Combs' innocence until proven guilty? Okay? So I'm just being consistent.
Those are two different things, Rich. You talking about the letter? You talking about the letter of the law where you are innocent. You are innocent until proven guilty. That's what it reads. You talking about the letter of the law? You're not giving your opinion on Combs. I see what you did there. You think you're slick. You're not giving your opinion on Combs. You're stating the letter of the law and then talking about condemning Hester. I see what you're doing there.
Okay. I can't ride with Hegseth. And it's more than just not being that type of qualified. Even in it's the way he was answering the questions. I understood what he was doing. He didn't want to answer anything, and he actually kind of gave himself away when he said, "Well, when you ask President Trump anything, he never actually shows his hand." Right? He maintains his silence and his position, but he's not. He's not Trump.
He said, "Daddy."
It sounded like Daddy, but he said Trump. But he's not Trump, and the honest to God's truth is he didn't have a dad like Trump, right?
No.
So when you
go, charisma that Trump has,
right? When you go and you almost bankrupt veteran societies that you were in charge of, right?
Okay.
And then you actually do have disparaging comments against women in the military,
right?
Yeah, that you said yourself. That those are the things that removes him for me, quite honestly. The child thing and the cheating on his wife. Well, that's what I expect because I know who's coming into office. That those are his beliefs also. That's the stuff that he would do. So I expect that type of behavior. That's not something that I'm up in arms about. I'm up in arms about the things that he's recently said, as recent as November, talking about women, and as well as his actual movement and his inability to actually answer properly about almost bankrupting a veterans association.
And this is why I defend him. Because oftentimes black men in America have made mistakes early in their life. I'm one. And then we look for redemption. We finally figure it out. And even though some black men may come from crime-infested environments where drugs and alcoholism and violence was just part of the everyday decorum, somehow those few actually make it. The majority of them don't. So I think we all as Americans are seeking redemption at some point or another for something or some things we've done wrong. So if this person is saying, I'm not a perfect person and redemption is real, now has he shown that he's truly sorry for the things he's done wrong in the past? I don't know. But we always
go ahead. I'm about to say, but what does his relationship to his deity have to do with him serving in that position?
Because
I don't know about his salvation. I don't need to know about him not being a perfect person. Those statements don't go anywhere because we know this already. It's an appeal to the humanistic sensibilities of a person to give him some type of a soft side. The motherfucker's not human to me.
No, he's human. Because here's the great thing about this. If we were to say, well, because of all the things you've done wrong, we can't forgive you, we can't give you a chance, then we're really saying something about our country. Because I know how my family got over here. And every day I have to wrestle with the fact that I got to forgive this country for what it did intentionally. And this country, some of them are not sorry for what happened. So redemption is real. Now, when he made this statement, was he truly sincere? I don't know. But
I get it.
when we put people in positions of leadership who don't have a perfect track record, now when an African American comes up for that same position down the road and they say, oh, you've done this and this and this wrong. Well, hold on a second. You forgave somebody else for their wrongdoing. So why is my situation any different? So when we put people who are not perfect in positions of leadership, now we're going to open up that position to everyone to be nominated for who may not have the quote perfect record. I love it, actually.
I get what you're saying, but all right, we're talking about his character. There's some things that in any field, I think most fields should be redeemable. Okay. I get you on that. But I'm gonna take it back to lack of qualifications. All right. They had conversations beforehand. And like Glass said, the senators, they give you the questions, right? He only met with one party. He didn't meet with the other party. That shows a lack of judgment to me. That line with some other lack of judgment calls he's made. So apparently he's not doing anything to rectify that situation.
Well, wait a minute. How can you say that about him if the person who nominated him may have told him, you can meet with the Republicans, but no, you were not meeting with the Democrats? So if the person who's nominating me said, I can't go over there and talk to Fat, but I can talk to Deuce, then what am I supposed to do?
Go talk to everybody because we know the position is supposed to be a non-bipartisan.
No, ain't how the game goes.
And that's actually what you're supposed to tell him. If you if
that ain't how the game goes.
if you're real about that position, because that's like if you got a position, you hired me for a position, and I didn't have the qualifications. You're not just gonna sit back there and be like, yeah, you ain't got to know nothing about it. Eventually, you're gonna be like, hey, you better get your ass somewhere and read a book about this shit, and you better go find somebody smarter than you to help you figure this out. Not only that, but all these people are saying you're not paying them. You better go meet with the people that you keep saying you ain't paying them so we can quell the hunger.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. No. When Donald Trump, against all odds, he beat the court cases, he beat everything. Against all the odds, he was reelected. Now, that attempt on his life, some say it was real, some say it wasn't. I don't know. But he, against all odds, I think one of the president did it, to become president in 9 consecutive terms through election. He beat all the odds. So now he's going to appoint whoever he wants to appoint. It's up to him to get those people passed through the U.S. Senate, regardless of their overqualifications or their lack of qualifications. It doesn't matter.
I just think that we have better candidates out here that could go in that position.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, Matt Gaetz' track record was so bad that he removed himself.
That's true.
So
I mean, that report was going to come out, man, showing him paying.
It still came out.
Money.
It still came out because I sent the report. I sent the report to Fat to prove to him that all this stuff against P. Diddy is nonsense.
Yep. And as a matter of
fact, in that report, they said we could prosecute Matt Gaetz, but normally under these circumstances, we're not going to.
And I want us to go through that and read it. I'm going to share that with you as well, Deuce, because I think we should highlight that. Again,
that's why I was defending him from the very beginning, because I know how this game goes.
They're not going to prosecute Gaetz?
No.
Nope.
Why? Because he's no longer part of any type of
Nope.
At all.
You know what? I can send it to you, or Fat can send you the report, and then you make your own determination.
I'll send it, and we'll actually do some reading on it live.
That's why I was so upset about people saying that P. Diddy was going down. I said, hold on a second, because I knew about the Matt Gaetz situation a long time ago. Now, maybe his was so bad that he had to withdraw. So Trump couldn't get he didn't get everybody he wanted. And allegedly, Hegseth should pass barely. The big one will be RFK Jr.
Oh, he'll pass. RFK Jr. pass.
I think RFK has a better shot at passing than
Hegseth?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Y'all don't watch TV like I do. Listen, y'all are working every day. Every day I write, I read, and I watch all this political stuff. And from what I'm hearing from the conservative networks.
You don't think RFK will Jr. pass?
I don't know.
Really?
I think he has an easier time than I think you have an easier time than Pete. But
okay.
the thing that come, I know we're not talking about this tonight, but Trump wanted to put conditions on the aid to the LA fires.
You know what? I'm too emotional right now because my cousin lost her house down in Altadena.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fighting the state of California. I'm fighting Gavin Newsom. That's why I'm not the president of Local 1000 because he had me removed.
Yeah.
This is where it gets tricky. He's not totally wrong. Because when I was fighting Local 1000 for those jobs in Lassen County, and they had those prison inmates fighting fires, he closed the prison down, Gavin Newsom. And then when it comes to cleaning up the brush and the forestry up and down the state of California, he cut those costs down. And so they've been saying this for years. You're going to cause a natural disaster of a wildfire that won't be able to be contained. The water reservoirs that were empty in LA, California, you go back to that movie Chinatown. Chinatown. The fight over water and who's going to get the water and how they're going to utilize the water, they've been fighting that from the very beginning of the state of California. So when Donald Trump says, hey, you're going to give me some conditions when I give you this money so that I know it gets used effectively, these Democrats in this state hate him and they don't want the conditions. But in order to get that money from Donald Trump, they're going to have to agree to it.
And I don't disagree with that, but I also want to point out that there have been people that have allegedly been arrested and tied to arson.
Yes.
With those fires.
Yes.
That's some of the fire. So if was LA equipped to fight the fires? No, it was not.
No.
Was it some of it climate change? Possibly. Is some of it bad management from the state of California and Gavin Newsom's decision to not fund Cal Fire and to shut that prison down and cut away the prison inmate program? Those inmates were fighting fires in the state of California. That's on Gavin Newsom's ass.
It's on Gavin. It's also on the mayor in LA, right? I forget her name.
Karen Bass. She screwed up too.
She cut 17 mil from the fire department last year. Now we see
what?
17 mil on my guy. And
that's the Democratic because that's the Democrats.
And to the police department. So I mean, I hope they out there some flames, man. But here's my thing: you're making the people in LA suffer to put conditions on his money. I feel like you want to put conditions. All right, cool. Make that some type of ladder thing tied to a resignation, tied to a fine, something else, man. But people are losing their property and losing lives out there.
Wait, hold on a second. They wouldn't be losing that stuff if Gavin Newsom had done his job correctly from the very beginning.
I'm with you, but we at this point in time right now where LA is going up in flames.
Wait a minute. If you send that money, if you send that federal money, and you don't tell them exactly how to spend that money, they'll screw it up.
Okay,
I guarantee you, in the state of California. Go ahead.
I think all three of us can agree to that because we know how California rocks, right? But the point, but at the end of the day, there still needs to be some type of federal aid sent. The reason why I'm apprehensive about conditions is because we know what they might look like.
Yeah.
No, not this time. This is where. Look.
I've got no faith in Trump.
I have no faith in Gavin Newsom.
You
see where I'm sitting at right now.
Well, yeah,
I got removed from my union because of Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, but people.
I got no love for Gavin Newsom because he's a narcissist. This is how I say this. He's a narcissist. He was born on third base. He's always had money, and he doesn't like no one to tell him anything. You say, well, wait a minute. That sounds like you're right. So it doesn't matter which party, the Democrats or the Republicans. When you're wealthy in this country, ain't nobody telling you what to do. If you go into a political office, you're going to try to run it the way you want to run it, and you want loyalists by your side. And that's what he has in Karen Bass, a loyalist down in LA.
I get what you're saying there, but one of the conditions that Trump wants to tie to this aid, man, is eliminating the debt ceiling. What the fuck does the debt ceiling have to do with LA fires?
Billionaires.
That's one of his conditions. Some of them, I agree with you, are good. Water management, right? Forest maintenance practices. I'm down for that. But the debt ceiling, that's something he wanted with the budgetary fights before it, and it failed.
Yeah.
So now he's trying to find another way to eliminate the debt or raise it, which is ironic because during his first term, he was running on not raising it.
You know what?
Change, I get it. But stuff like that, if my house is going up in flames, man, I don't care about the debt ceiling.
Well, hold on a second.
Under
Wait a minute. You're right, Deuce. He got caught on that. See, when you tell enough lies from the Republican side, you'll get caught. Just like when he says America first, which we're going to continue to bring over the Indian engineers off those H-1S visas or whatever. No, I don't want to hear all that.
But the $20 billion is accepted from that firm in the UAE to build data centers in the US. But I thought TikTok was a threat.
Yeah, and the $100 billion that's being pledged over $100 million being pledged over the course of his presidency from Japan.
So what I'm saying to you is Donald Trump worse than Gavin Newsom? No, they're really the same two people.
Oh, I look, the government is purple. I can meet you there.
Yeah.
The government is purple.
So, listen, I didn't hear y'all talk about, not to get off subject, before those fires hit the LA area, those insurance companies canceled their premiums, canceled their coverage on those people. Okay? Now, that's clearly wrong. All right? And the U.S. government should have an insurance fund to where anybody, whether you were from Hurricane Katrina, whether you're those on the East Coast from the winter, that tornado hurricane they had, or out here in LA, there should be money in the federal government to where if your insurance company won't pay to rebuild your home or they canceled your coverage, they should easily be able to go to the federal government and have that fixed.
I can't disagree with you on that. Excuse me, gents. I can't disagree with you on that.
That's a problem.
I think it's a crime that the insurance companies were allowed to do that. I don't
hear the Republicans going off about that. But see, when the Republicans were going off about their people on the East Coast in those small rural towns that had their lives turned upside down, and when Biden said, "Well, we'll let FEMA handle it," and FEMA was like, "Well, we'll give you $20,000 apiece." That's a joke. That's an insult. That's the same thing you insulted those in Hurricane Katrina when you said, "Well, we can't help you." When they told you to fix those levees, when them foreigners came over from Holland and they told you, this is how you fix these levees when you're under sea level, because that's what they did in Europe. And they didn't do it down there because those were black folks and no one cared. But now you're telling me you don't care about your own white people on the eastern part of America. So if you don't care about white people, then how the hell will you ever care about black folks? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
That LA thing, that kind of it pops me because it's a little racial, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of ego with Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump. But this time, Trumpy is right. President-elect Trump is right on this issue.
The reason why I can't say he's right is because we have American citizens who are being caught in the crossfires of narcissists. If you're describing them to be the same person, and so the only people that are actually the only people that are actually hurting are the American citizens, and that's the issue.
And internal aid, granted, external aid always had conditions with it, right? Internal aid, to my knowledge, has never had a condition tied to it.
Right.
Not coming from the federal government, not that I know of.
Only thing I will say to you is this. Between President-elect Trump and Governor Gavin Newsom, when I'm reinstated and I'm manifesting, I will be reinstated this year. You're going to find out about the Democratic Party, or you're going to find out that they ain't no better than the Republican Party, because I'm going to call them out for running me out of office because I was trying to help white people. If I was just doing Black Lives Matter or trying to get slave reparations, that would have been acceptable in the state of California. But I was trying to fight for everyone in my union, starting with the majority who are white people who put me in this position to run my mouth. So no, Gavin Newsom, I know what you were about. And I know about the stuff that's not out in the media yet. And you're gonna find out, that when he runs for president and all the stuff he's done from his past comes out, you're gonna find out that him, P. Diddy, Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, you're gonna find out when it comes to men and power and money in this country, they're gonna pull some stunts.
No, we already know.
Yeah, I mean that's a fact. You know that's going down.
So was Gavin Newsom really qualified to be the governor of California? Hell no. It don't matter. This is America. You don't have to be qualified to do anything. As long as you got some people with some money backing you, run your mouth.
Hey man, that's a true statement right there. Because
the judicial system is the same way. The judicial system is the same way. You can be telling the truth, and they say, "Oh, you don't have a lawyer. Your game ain't tight enough."
Yep.
Oh well.
Yep. Gentlemen, we got a break. I am hurting. I gotta get some rest. But let's transition music. Yeah, one time for the one time.
It's the family blood.
Yeah, we killed that shit. We killed that. I like doing that intro. That was good times.
I like it, man. It's tight. It's nice. Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and knock out final thoughts. But Deuce, you get it first. New cameraman.
Hey,
Big too.
Yeah, I feel like I still look a little red, but that's all good, man. Final thoughts, man. Thoughts and prayers go out to the people in LA dealing with this fire. The glass, like you said, I hate that the true people in our country are caught between a crossfire between two rich white men, you know? And everyone in LA is suffering because of it, because they're making this a political game. I yearn for the days where we were more empathetic as a society, where it seems like that's far gone. Hopefully, those of us who still have that empathy and motivation, energy, and power to still get out there and try to make a change, man. That's my final thought for tonight.
I dig it. Rich, what you got? Final thoughts.
I am not a perfect person, but redemption is real. And when Pete Hegseth said that, he's speaking for a lot of people, not just himself. There are no perfect people in America, and sometimes we know that we work with people who are imperfect, who are put in positions that they weren't qualified for. Sometimes they rise to the occasion, sometimes they don't. That's life. So anytime someone's nominated for a position, maybe they're qualified for it, and maybe they're not. Only time will tell. What we do know is this: elections have consequences. The people spoke, and they believe that Donald Trump knows what he's doing, and they're willing to support his nominees. That's democracy of the Electoral College in this great country. I'm done.
Yeah, they thought they knew. Now they starting to, a lot of people are finding out and they hating it. They are not like where this is going.
Price of eggs going up.
Hey, they went up. I was at Aldi's like, wait a minute.
Why Aldi's looking more like Publix?
Exactly. Like this is crazy. I don't have much for final thoughts tonight. I'm tired. All I can say is, I'll say a couple of things. The first thing is, I just want to remind everybody that the Black community is projected to spend $1.98 trillion in the year of 2025, and it's being spent everywhere, less with ourselves. And if we are the ones that are yelling about not having any representation, it's our fault because we're not putting our dollars to make power. Economics is power in America, and we know it, but we choose to empower everybody else and leave ourselves out. So that's what we keep doing to ourselves. I'm no longer blaming other people for the shit that we're doing. We're doing that. We're teaching ourselves how to hate each other. So continue to spend your money on Jordans. Continue to spend your money on shit that you really can't afford, on lashes, on on her pieces, fellas. Right? Spend your money on stuff you can't afford and complaining about where you are in life. That's on us. That is on us. The second thing that I'd like to say is just honestly, just be the reflection of, 2025. We're going into a rough season of America, and hold on tight, buckle up. This is going to be a hell of a ride for everybody, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I want to see where it's going. A blessing, Zoe. And so finally, as always, be the reflection of love that you want to see in the world, and help somebody out. You know, just with a smile or a handshake or a fist bump or something. It's always worth it. It's always worth it. And so with that being said, good people, you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you decided to hang out with us tonight, and we absolutely appreciate it, and we're grateful for it. And come continue to hang out with us. Don't come for lashes. I did it. I did it. They got lashes and vending machines, and goddamn it, I'm over it. But we definitely appreciate everybody hanging out with us tonight, and don't forget to catch us tomorrow. Where we have a fire ass topic. We got a fire ass topic. We're going to be talking about relationships, how relationships affect family relationships affect relationships with spouses, right? Mm-hmm. So does your family have to like the person that you're with? Should your family like the person that you're with? How that looks, how it pans out, the dynamics in between, the ins and outs, all that other stuff. It's going to be fire. We're getting into it. So come join us, hang out with us for that tomorrow night. And with that being said, thank y'all for coming out.
Make sure you send the link.
Yep, I got you. I got you.
And that's at 7 p.m. Central Time.
No.
Yeah, because it's 5 o'clock my time, right?
You are correct. Okay. You are correct.
You said 7 p.m. Central, so it's 8 p.m.
our time. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you on East Coast? I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. we on the East Coast. We on
East
the
Coast, West Coast,
Eastern time zone. Yeah. Yeah. So
all right, sounds good.
All right. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless and good night.